on YouTube? This is Just My Opinion, and today I will be reviewing the 1975 second album, I Like It When You Sleep, For You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It. One of the longer album titles ever in history and easily the creepiest. The 1975 is an indie pop, rock pop band from the UK, and their first EP they released in 2012, which got them some notoriety. They released 3 more in that same year, but it was their breakout year in 2013 when they released their first debut studio album. The popularity of the single Chocolate got them really notarized. That was actually the first time that I had ever heard of or discovered the 1975, and I could say that that was one of my favorite singles of 2013. But I had never really fully delved into a actual project of theirs, but my girlfriend actually introduced me to a little bit more of their music, and so this is kind of for her. And after a brief M83 style intro to the album, we get Love Me, which is a standout track of mine. A great way to start the album off, except the band is called the 1975, but I get more of a 1985 type feel from them. Very heavy new wave influence in the song. I hear kind of like David Bowie influence as well, and the guitar licks are just awesome throughout the entire song. And it's very punchy, colorful, great way to start off the album. We then get Ugh, which has, again, more 80s pop influence in it. It has very blissful and colorful synths on it with a very punchy bass line, very good grooves to it, very awesome production. Vocal performance is just as punchy and in your face as the production is, and it just blends together very well. We then get A Change of Heart, which is another standout of mine on the album. It has kind of a R&B pop feel. Again, 80s inspired, but a little bit more contemporary. The production throughout this entire song is just absolutely fantastic, the way it's all layered and it builds up. It has these very airy synth leads, but it has still a very smooth but punchy beat to it, and then on the chorus, we get kind of like these whistle sounds, and mixed in with some vocal sampling. We eventually get to some guitar riffs towards the end of the song. Very beautifully done production-wise on this. I was really blown away by that. I do really like the message behind the song too, basically about kind of falling out of love or out of interest with somebody that you once admired. We then get She's American, which is another up-tempo, dancey type track. This one has more of a just like a straight up indie pop and indie rock type feel to it, a little bit more modern. Some of the synth lines are a little bit sugary and sweet and more modern, mixed in though with a little bit of new wave guitar. Some of the lyrics on this I thought were a little bit cheesy. I think the chorus was a little bit cheesy too. But overall, I thought very well produced, very well layered, and this had an unexpected sax solo, so if you could do that, you automatically win me over. I love the saxophone. Then from here we get If I Believe You, which is a completely unexpected turn for this album, but I think went over extremely well. This is a slower tempo, kind of neo-soul and jazz and gospel influence song kind of all in one. There's some neo-soul influence as far as the keys of the song. The jazz influence kind of comes from like the bass line and the drums. And there's just a huge booming gospel choir backing vocals that just sound absolutely amazing with the production of this song. And I think the lead singer did a very good job as well, kind of leading this chorus. There's a very, very beautiful like horn or trumpet solo or something towards like the second half of the track that sounded really good along with the rest of the production. One of the longer tracks on the album, over 6 minutes, but one of the better tracks overall, and a very unexpected track that I think went over very well. We then get from here Please Be Naked. This was a fully instrumental piece, one of a few on the album, And for this one, dreamy and beautiful production overall, has some moody pianos in there. I do think it kind of dragged a little, but overall I think this was the best instrumental piece that was on the entire album. We then get Lost My Head, which again was another mostly instrumental track. There were a little bit of vocal snippets here and there, but they were very, very reverbed, kind of almost in the background as part of the instrumental. Had a very spacious vibe. It was a good track. I think it was a pretty solid track overall, but again, I think it just dragged a little too long, and I also think that coming off of another instrumental track going right into another one, I think it could have been spaced out a little bit differently. Then we get the Ballad of Me and My Brain, which was a more up-tempo track and some really good production, beautiful dreamy backing vocals, and the drums were awesome on this. Very punchy, very in your face. Lyrics are just very cheesy. Like the whole "I've lost my brain" thing is kind of a trope that we've heard a million times. And this song was one of the shorter songs on the album, seemed a little bit unfleshed. But then we get Somebody Else, which has easily turned into my favorite song on this entire album. Love this song. It's slower tempoed, has a little bit more of a synth pop anthem type vibe to it. Vocalist on this did an outstanding job. I think it was very soft and vulnerable, but yet still very powerful and emotional at the same time. The progression of the production on this was just amazing. The synth swell on the chorus is just beautiful and epic, and there's just so many different effects and little nuances going on that switch up throughout the track. Has very nostalgic vibe to it, very 80s inspired still at the same time. Absolutely love this song. But then after this we get Loving Someone, which is one of my least favorites on the entire album. It's just, to me, the least interesting production wise. It kind of fits the mold of almost any pop EDM type crossover today, as well as the chorus I thought was just very annoying. I felt like the vocalist on this one was sounding his hardest to sound like Ed Sheeran almost, and it just didn't go over that well for me. Then we get the title track, which you would think, being the title track, it would be one of the most epic songs on the entire album. It's the longest song on the entire album as well, but instead again we get another instrumental piece, which again had featured some very beautiful ambient electronic sounding production, and there was a couple switch ups in the production here and then, but I just felt like it was overall unnecessary for it to drag on as much as it did. As also, I just don't think it was necessary to feature this many straight up instrumental pieces, which dragged the album out to an hour and 13 minutes. We then get The Sound, which is another standout track of mine, and if you had seen my top songs of 2016 video, you would have seen that this song was actually featured in it. I just thought it was a very awesome, dancey, indie pop anthem with some great grooves to it, great production. It gave me kind of a Passion Pit type feel. Chorus of the song is very catchy. Some great electric piano melody and leads in the song, and I thought the guitar solo was outstanding towards the last half of the track. Then we get This Must Be My Dream, another nice up-tempo, kind of catchy, feel-good type song. Has several 80s elements in it, whether it be the synth pop and the new wave elements. The drums were very booming. It had some nice dreamy electronic instruments in the background as well. The chorus was extremely catchy, very melodic. And again, this featured another sax solo that caught me off guard. We then get the song Paris, which is a very smooth indie-tronic type of sounding track, very blissful and pleasant sounding to the ears. Had some really, really nice electronic sounds incorporated in there as well. Very dreamy synths. This song actually gave me kind of like a Every Breath You Take type of vibe by The Police, as far as the tempo and the grooves to it. The lyrics, though, kind of were a little bit depressing on this one, which I was kind of surprised with. Overall, I thought this was a very good track, though. And then the last two tracks, which are Nana and She Lays Down, were kind of almost just like acoustic ballads, which again were completely unexpected. I think Nana was the better of the 2 had a little bit more oomph to it. Had some elements of dream pop in there as well, and I thought that the vocally a little bit catchier. She Lays Down, I think, was just strictly acoustic, and I think it was just a little boring of a way to close the album out. I wish that they could have closed out with a little bit more of an up-tempo song. So in conclusion, overall, I really liked this album, but I was just this close to saying that I loved it. I think that overall the album was just a little bit too long, and I think some of the ideas that they had on this album were a little bit better and better executed than others. I think some of the instrumental pieces could have gotten taken out. One of the last two closing tracks could have gotten taken out, and maybe a song or two here or there out of the weaker songs in the track listing could have been taken out. But overall, the overall vibe and sound of this album was outstanding. Almost every single song was just extremely well produced. At times, some of the lyrics were a little bit worse than others. Sometimes the songs were a little bit catchier lyrically and popped more. But overall, I really like what this band is going for in their music, and I am definitely interested to hear what they do next. Overall, I'm going to give this album a 7.5 out of 10. Remember, this is just my opinion, and thank you for watching YouTube.